That would be.
You should get off of that and speak. I don't want to tell you how it's going to take about an hour.
Really good group for that to change that.
If you wanted it. Okay, we'll begin the meeting. The first thing, the agenda a little bit. The first person to speak will be Jessica Young, and she'll speak for just a few minutes. And then our other Jessica, who works for SCOCOG over at West Plains, will begin to talk about the grant and some of the things that we're required to do and so forth. So first, Jessica.
Hello everybody. You probably seen me on the TV and everything else, newspaper, radio. When this came up, it was something that all of us business owners are very passionate about. And we were able to have a meeting with David Norman, and Andrew McDonald was also there. We sat down and we came up with a plan that puts the best of both ideas together. This is the one that we are going to be discussing today, not the original all grass. We keep our parking. And then we're going to add some other things that these guys will talk about a little bit later on. But I want you to know this is what we're talking about, not the grass plan. Okay?
Hey.
All right. Floor's over to you.
All right. Well,
Thank
thank you. So I'm with SCOCOG, with the Regional Planning Commission, and for this area. We do grant writing and application development, and that's what we'll be discussing this evening or this afternoon. The city is proposing to submit a grant application. These are competitive grants, so it is not guaranteed that anything will come of the grant. We are just submitting an application for their review. The grant will be $499,081.85. In-kind labor and equipment used by the city will account for $46,030. So basically the proposal is to make the square and sidewalks ADA compliant. In order for us to proceed with writing the grant application, we have to go through what's called a needs assessment. So I will ask questions with regards to the entire community, all different aspects of the community. And it's your input, whether it's good, fair, poor, excellent, wonderful. So we'll start with the public works infrastructure. So the water source, is that good, fair, poor? Have to have input. What is the contention? Yes, from anyone that has.
Yeah, I'd say it's good.
Okay. And water treatment?
Good.
Water distribution? The sanitary sewer? And any other storm sewer collection or other drainage?
Mostly good. Not completely good.
I'd say fair on the.
Okay, but fair.
Okay. So, streets? Are your streets relatively in good shape in the city?
Fair.
Fair.
I think they're better than fair.
And
She
bridges?
doesn't remember the pothole.
And bridges?
No, we don't have many.
And I'm going to say that sidewalks are poor.
Yep.
Parks and recreation?
Excellent.
Do you have a landfill?
What?
Landfill?
We do not.
Any electrical issues? Any problems there with your electricity?
Does iSource count?
It's good. We've got
Does
some
what?
areas that need to be improved.
Does the looks of it count? Because there's some of them they're pretty scary.
We'll put fair.
I didn't know if that would count.
Well, I can put it in the narrative, but I don't know if it'll make a difference. So do you have natural gas?
We do not. We have natural gas, but we don't own it.
Okay. How's your public services? Fire protection? Police?
Excuse
It
me,
just depends on whether you've been
could
arrested
you
or
speak
not.
up a bit? We cannot hear words you're saying back
Uh-oh.
here.
Code enforcement?
Fair.
Healthcare?
I say it's good.
Recreational and cultural activities?
Good.
Snow removal?
You have to have snow first. Yeah, we think it's good.
Park maintenance?
Very good.
And the EMS services?
Very good.
Trash removal?
Good.
Good.
Lighting, street lighting?
And some places.
Could be improved.
Okay. And parking?
After this, good.
You have a community center and you have a nice big area. Senior citizen centers,
Mm-hmm.
historic preservation.
Yes.
Do you have a sheltered workshop here?
Yes.
Infant and daycare facilities,
Yes.
mental health services,
Yes.
Yes, through the health department. Through the health department.
and do you have transportation for senior citizens?
Oh, yeah.
or
Yes.
Yeah.
Teen and youth center,
No.
drug abuse prevention and rehabilitation,
No.
That's not anything through the city.
There are a few programs, but not a lot.
okay,
Incarceration.
pretty much. So with regards to your health, the primary care physicians, are they high ranking, moderate, low? How would you rate your medical professionals?
I would say average to a plus.
You don't have that. Dentists, home care services,
Adequate.
all right, in the educational sector, preschools, public schools, and you don't have any private schools, correct? Or
Not anymore.
The city.
Yeah.
vocational, do you do vocational here? Is there a college here? Any out
We have direct.
Drury Center? Okay. Do you have 4-H and scouts and things of that nature? Okay. What do you think your average workforce is? Age? 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50? Any idea?
30 to 40.
30 to 40?
Would you guess that over the Copa?
Yes, that's.
Do you have an enterprise zone?
We do.
Do you have an industrial park? Is it public, private, or both?
It's both.
Both? Okay, so with regards to the industrial park, are there roads, sewer, water, electric,
Yes.
all of that is out there? Is there a rail out there?
No.
Okay. All right, what about employment opportunities? Skilled jobs?
Years ago.
You have a lot of skilled jobs in the area. So we'll say non-skilled jobs is the higher area. Okay. Do you have job training available here?
Through the social services, they do.
Okay. So now we need to identify the top 5 priorities for the community. For the application, if sidewalks aren't on there as listed as one of the top 5, then that's probably not good. You probably need to rank that up there 1 through 5.
The last community survey that was done
Mhm.
was at a different time.
Okay.
And we got heat put on us now in regard to ADA, and at the time we didn't.
Mhm.
But one of the, if I remember right, walking trails and some of those things were high priority.
Okay.
I forgot what was on that list. And that's part of what we're doing, but that's a different
Sure. Sure.
grant.
Sure. So what do you think that the communities identify a top priority for me?
Sidewalks.
We imagine,
Sidewalks are definitely a
Okay.
priority.
Okay.
I have personally dealt with them.
Okay.
Something,
Yes.
there's not a whole lot for the handicaps
Okay.
or the disabled or the elderly to get in and out and onto the sidewalks or falling.
Okay.
And there are 3 entities that service. One's a senior center, and it's a thrift store that also distributes wheelchairs and things of that nature. And we're just about ready to open up a soup kitchen / coffee shop here in the square that will probably bring some disabled and senior citizens as well. So having quality sidewalk be a blessing for sure.
Okay. And can you think of anything else besides sidewalks and ADA? Can you think of any other priorities that you feel? You said the streets were, could use some improvement. Would you say street?
I would say guardrails, especially on the square there, adequate steps and guardrails around certain areas that are slightly dangerous.
Okay.
well, that's all part of our ADA
Yep. Yeah.
deal.
There's quite a few
Street.
streets that could use some.
Okay.
Streets are going to be
Okay.
an issue
Okay.
the next time we do something, because we're not only going to have to put new streets, but we're going to have to take off what's there.
Mhm.
Especially, on starting to block that side of the square all the way east, not on the square.
Mhm.
They've milled on the square in the last 15, 20 years, taking it off. The highway department did that.
Okay.
But we've got a lot of expense coming on streets. And we still have some streets that need asphalt.
Okay.
We've run out of money.
Mhm.
Lighting,
Lighting? Okay.
there's a lot of places that's really dark.
Okay.
Around the square and down the side alleys.
What, I didn't hear what you said.
Lighting.
Lighting.
The lights on the main highways have all been replaced with LED, and a few complaints. But as the others burn out, they're being replaced with LED lighting. Back up.
Okay.
Some of the streets don't have enough lighting, enough light poles and lights on them.
Well, we have a mixture, depending on what part of town you're in, especially on that side of White River and City. And if you've got a place that's dark, you need to let us know. We put in some lights. People who run and walk in the evening.
East Grand would help. East Grand.
East Grand.
And the streets that go through the cemetery, need to be redone. They are
Margaret,
in bad shape.
Margaret, you call me and remind me. I won't remember it.
I will.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you can think of as a priority for you all in the community? Anything that,
Janice, what else ought to be on that list?
Staging ourselves if we didn't
You
send
did the
jobs.
survey.
jobs?
Well, walking trails was on there, I remember.
Absolutely. That's one that comes up in most of our
Walking
communities.
trails.
Jobs and,
Or walking trails.
Yeah, walking trails were on there.
Well, lit walking trails. Pretty good.
Community awareness and signage out on the highway would be good. Directing back towards the professional buildings and the business, professionals and the shopping areas. And anyone
Yeah,
driving down the
just so that
highway.
everybody knows, we don't have the option to put signs where we want them out there. Lions Club asked, and I haven't had a chance to tell Richard about putting a Lions Club sign out there, and the initial response was no. We wanted to put a sign telling where the cemetery was. The answer was definitely no. You know, they're very specific about where
Are
you
you
put
talking
signs.
about on the state road?
Are we talking highway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anywhere where the state highway is. We have one person we go to, and we just don't have control over it. We don't know for sure about the Lions Club, but the initial response was, I don't think so. So,
Audrey, are you talking about signs just directing people to the downtown area? Is that what you're?
Downtown professional shopping area. Because there's professionals on the square, there's shopping on the square, something to direct it. That's my comment.
We've dealt with this. I was initially involved in ACAL, and I'm part of the farmers market. We were trying to get signs out on Highway 5, which is a controlled route. The Federal Highway Administration rules govern that. They're very strict. The state of Missouri took away, they used to have historic downtown with a arrow sign available. They discontinued that. Now that's an option that the state could reinstate. And I've got some contacts with the state about the issue of they build bypasses around towns, the downtown dies. What are you going to do to ensure that people know there is a downtown? And so far, no good answers. So I think that's something that, you know, cities like Ava, I don't live in Ava, but I live in the county, and cities like Ava or other towns that are impacted because of bypasses need to demand that they be allowed to direct people to the downtown area. And there's no mechanism right now to do that.
if you've dealt with MoDOT, you know what it's like to demand.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well,
Good
So
idea.
the process that we will do from here is I will complete the application based on the preliminary engineer report that we've received and your input as far as your desires to keep your parking there. We will fill out the application and they're due April 1st. And then they usually goes through about a 6-month review process at CDBG at the state level. After I turn it in, it's out of my hands. I have no authority to tell them, you know, to pick ours. So it's completely up to how they rate it as whether it's necessary and a need. So if there's anything that, I believe that someone was injured here on the square, is that correct? Is there? Okay.
at the farmer's market.
Perfect, okay.
There's
So-
also, there's been several, multiple actually.
Okay, I need those comments sent to me so that I can put that into the application that will just simply make it stronger. And they'll be able to see the need. So if you could get that to Suzanne, your comments, your, any other stories that you have with regards to the square and injuries and problems. If you could get that to her, then I can show the need that for your community. If the grant is approved, then I hate to tell you a time frame. Usually they like to say it's July that you receive notification. This year it didn't happen until January. So I don't know when we will receive any notification. But after that happens, we have to go through an environmental review process, meaning we have to contact all the state historical preservation, make sure that it's not going to affect any historical building. We have to contact the Fish and Wildlife, make sure that we're not going to kill any bats out there. It has to go through to the tribal associations that are around this area or from here. And that's a lengthy process. So that's about 120 days of comment period that we have to wait to hear back. And then it goes to the state for their comment period. So all in all, you're looking at it's not going to happen immediately. Once you turn it in, you're still looking at a good period of time before we can actually begin any type of work on the project. So, you know, it could be a year before any work can be started on it. So just keep that in mind. We have a project, yes?
Isn't coming into ADA compliance the central issue here? I mean,
Yes,
okay, and this is not an ADA compliance, correct?
correct.
So isn't that in itself indicative of necessity?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why it is a strong grant, but you're competing against the entire state. They only get a certain amount of money handed down to them from the federal level, CDBG does. So they have to divvy that up into their different categories. And then that amount of money, this will be a general infrastructure project. So they may only have $6 million in that pot of money for the entire state. That's why it has to be a strong need for this area. That's why those stories and things that have happened are very important to show that yours is much more strong of a need than Centralia's, you know, or whomever else is wanting to do something.
So it's not just one grant, there's just till that money runs out.
Exactly.
So they'll have many people that receive the same grant, basically.
They will have many people that apply for it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But
And
it's not just one person, one city that gets it though.
No, they can award it to whomever, and they can award the same project to a different community as well as you, as well as the city of Ava. They can award it to whomever they want, and they can award whatever type of project they want.
So does it starts at the state, it doesn't start with our SCOCOG fund, and that general fund then gets distributed, it's going all the way to the state, and then that goes down to SCOCOG, and then SCOCOG?
Yes, SCOCOG does not have funds. No, we're nonprofit. So we actually receive our funding and salaries and all of that through grant administration and through our dues paying members, county and city dues paying members, and then associate members that pay into us. So no, we don't have a pool of money. The money comes directly from actually it's federal. Federal then gives it to the state. State then awards it to whomever they want across the state.
Okay, I didn't know because I thought maybe each area around the state then received so much money and then they decided how it was distributed within those counties itself. It's
no.
Starting up there, huh?
Right up there, yeah.
So Jessica,
Yeah.
would it help for us as citizens to comment in a positive fashion, of course?
Sure.
Who do we, besides yourself, if this goes beyond that, you said the state has a commentary period too, huh?
They have a commentary period as far as the environmental review.
Oh.
So that's after the grant would be awarded.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the state comment period for the environmental review. So. But as far as, I don't know how they come up with their checklist.
Right.
This one is better than this one and so forth. I don't know how they make their decisions.
Right.
And like I said, that usually they like to say that they'll award grants in July, but like this year it didn't happen until January. So I don't know how that all plays out up there at the state level.
From your experience, what else could we get to you as far as information that would benefit our chances of a grant?
I think it's a strong application. I just, those incidents and the stories and anything that you may have seen, and how many people are come around the square, that's all good information, because the more people that come around the square, and I don't know that, I'm not from here, so that's information that I have to compile from the community. And yes.
Well, as people that run the farmers market, we have our annual meeting in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
If we have our vendors, we can take a tally of how many vendors that we have there and what this means to the farmers market itself. Mm-hmm. If we put in something to show what it means to us as farmers market vendors and stuff.
That would be very beneficial. Unfortunately, you're saying a month, and
Mm-hmm.
a month is exactly when this is due.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something,
Yeah.
if you could do something like
Okay.
that and write something for Suzanne and provide that information, then that's definitely helpful.
Okay.
Any business owners around the square that wants to write something that's beneficial.
So it goes to Suzanne.
Huh?
It goes to Suzanne.
Yeah, it should probably go to her, and then she can just send it to me. So if she doesn't mind, she's out of the room, so I'll say, yeah, send it to her. No. No, so anyway, she'll get it to me.
So in case, in the situation of the farmer's market, if he were to put something together, say, next week, and then he were to have others from the farmer market sign it prior to the meeting and endorse it as well, you'd have multiple signatures on that. That might be the way to handle that prior to a meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other concerns, questions, comments?
I agree with them. What can we do to make this stronger?
Well, I think that by you being here, and they're going to see how many people signed in here, and I can guarantee you that this is the biggest crowd I've ever seen.
Amen.
Yay! And this is a little portion, because if we had this during the evening, you would have probably 3 times more signatures. This is a big community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and you're all very tight-knit, apparently, so, that's a good thing. So if you all have not signed in, can you please sign in before you leave the area?
Is this definitely the plan that is going to be proposed? Or there was an alternative one that was being mentioned a couple months ago where this whole area was turned into green grass and parking was being taken away. Is that out the door now, or is that?
The plan that's being proposed now, that we've agreed on, is the one you've got in your hand. The parking area will not have grass. Just a second. You got it. This will not have grass in it.
So we're having the same number of parking spaces as
Well,
before?
almost. We've got on each side here where we're going to correct the height of the gazebo. We're going to pour concrete there. We'll have a 5-foot area around the gazebo where you can go around it in a wheelchair, and there'll be a rail on it. There'll be 3 parking spaces on each side that will be used up because of that. There wasn't any other way to do that. So we'll have -6 here. Where these cars are on the north and south will be handicap parking spaces. And you'll have your handicap entry on the north and south around both sides of the telephone light pole that happens to be in the middle of that sidewalk. There's one there and there's one there.
But that's going to be gone. It's going to be gone, sir? The light pole in the middle?
No, we're not going to move the light pole.
They're going to put the walkway
We're
around
going to go
it.
around the
Okay,
light pole.
I
They're going to
misunderstood
expand
you.
it
Yeah.
around so that
That's
I
it.
wasn't looking. I was just listening.
That light pole is is a big light pole, so we're gonna leave it where it is.
What would be a net loss in parking spaces?
6.
6?
Versus all of it.
Like, 20 or something.
6.
The other one was a lot.
Yeah.
20.
This area here, the walkway will be flat with the road, and it comes across the end and does not go through where the trees are. It goes outside that, so it's still flat. It's flat across where cars drive in, and it will be, and it'll come right in and dovetail in where you can come in. This sidewalk in the middle will be a 5-foot sidewalk. It's just a little over 3 now. We'll make the entry.
But it's all gonna be colored differently, right?
Well, we're talking, you know, it depends on how much money we end up having, but what would really be pretty is have stamped concrete, and we talked about that. The sidewalks will be ADA, the entry into the gazebo will be ADA. You'll have the same thing on south and north end, handicap parking spaces. The sidewalk on the east and the west actually will be raised. So
So you're gonna narrow the road?
a little bit, but you've got room to do that.
10 feet? 5 feet on each side?
Yep. Yes.
Gonna make it harder on log trucks.
But what is it you're trying to do here? Are you making it ADA, or are you making, just worried about log trucks?
Keeping it
Gary?
country.
We've got plenty of room there, because the engineers told us we did.
Are you going to adjust the ramps for the wheelchairs? I know several people that can't get in and out because the ramps are too steep.
This whole thing has to do with ramps for wheelchairs and entry on the sidewalks and entry off, not only in the middle, but in the 4 corners.
We don't always use, there are 40 spaces, and that's what we, generally counted on for the farmer's market. You're gonna take away 6, I guess, right, total?
Yes.
So you've got, on the outside at the ends of this long sidewalk in the center, you've got 4 spaces. You've got 2 on each end. Is there any possibility that the farmer's market will be able to utilize those if we need to? Or
The handicap spaces?
those 2 are, those 4 handicap spaces?
Yeah.
They will be in the new one, and
On
you'll be
the
losing
north,
the handicapped on the east
these will be
side.
handicapped.
Oh.
But you'll have space here. They're not, won't be.
Well, you'll have 34 spaces. Right now, we have 40 spaces. So we're gonna be losing 6.
But
We don't always fill up the square.
Don't you have some handicap parking places here?
It's just
I think he's
relocating.
talking about.
I'm talking about vending spaces for the farmer's market.
And this, they're gonna relocate the inside handicap and put them towards the outside, so it actually opens up more vendor spaces on the inside.
Well, no, the inside's totally used by the vendors.
Exactly.
We have 40 spaces right
You guys
now.
use the handicap as well?
Oh, yeah? We're using the whole thing.
And then that would stop you from using handicap spaces and make those 4 designated handicap spots more accessible for handicapped people to get to your farmer's market.
Is
Margaret?
there gonna be handicap accessibility to get into the gazebo also?
But if you're looking at that, you're gonna come out with that gazebo, you're still gonna have spaces right here. You can still set up your vendors right here. You're
They just
gonna
can't
lose-
park there.
Yeah,
There
it'll
won't-
be too short for parking.
There won't,
You could still
there won't
set
be
up
parking
there.
spaces there. Yeah. By the time you put concrete on each side, it's out far
I
enough
think it's gonna take
that
up half
if
of
they
the
park
park.
head in, you wouldn't be able to get through there.
You can put up a
They
table
can't
or
come
something.
out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But not.
You can still put a booth
He's
in
not worried about the
there.
parking, he's worried about.
Yeah, booth. Yeah. The booth can still, Randy?
I have to park around.
I didn't really know or understand, on the east and the west side, you're going to extend that 5 feet on each side. Isn't that up onto the state? I mean, is that all right with the state to
Yeah.
shorten their parking?
It is. They've measured, we'll have to redo our parking spaces along there. But yes, the engineer says we've got room to do that.
But you can, if you change the angle
We can
of
get
your parking, it'll shorten it.
Yes.
So, but the engineer is saying okay to state property deals?
Well, it's not all state, Randy.
Well, I don't know exactly where. I
Well,
was just always
we don't-
told that the center was the city and all the outside was state.
Well, I always thought it was the other way around. That we had 2 lanes in the middle and the state doesn't really know. I don't think what's theirs.
I know in past, in paving and everything, we always had to pay for the 2 strips in the center.
Oh, did we?
And then the state paid for 1476, but it was all state.
But to answer your question, whatever's done there will have to have, MoDOT's got to be consulted on everything we do.
Well, that's
there.
why I was, you know,
It will be.
if MoDOT, I hate to be negative, but if
They're hard to
MoDOT
deal with.
is hard to deal with,
They are.
and they really get hard to deal with if you try to push something on to them. So
Well,
I hate to see everything get put into place and then that gets shortened down. MoDOT, I believe, needs to be on board to start with.
Well, they'll have to be. We're gonna run water back out there,
Yeah.
which goes across there. We're talking about putting power lines underground. We're talking about, we've got a power line from the courthouse to the gazebo, which really, if we're gonna mess up the highway, we might as well put that underground. So MoDOT's gonna be in the middle of it. There's no question about it.
I was just wondering if they was,
Oh, yeah, they will be consulted. The thing we've got in our favor is they're forcing us into, they're part of the ADA thing. You know, so, you know, they say if we own this sidewalk, we'll make it ADA, we'll replace it for you. Except so far, we've not found any sidewalks they claim that are there.
sidewalks have always been a gray area.
Yeah, so the sidewalks are all ours. So, you know, but I think it'll work. The engineer thought we had enough extra room.
City's engineer or state, who?
He's not a state engineer. He's a private engineer who's done the work on this grant. But he also,
I think it'd be hard for him to find out from all the records and stuff that I had gathered in my years here. This is what you own, 322.5 feet, you know. That number, I've never seen.
well, what we found out from MoDOT, and you already know this, Randy, but when you get within about a block of a square, everything gets fuzzy.
Yeah.
They don't have any easements on record anywhere. When you got down to O'Reilly's, they started dealing with individual people who owned property because there were no easements and they didn't really have an open authority to go up through there and do what they wanted to do. And the same thing's true out west, in all directions off the square.
Yeah.
There really aren't any documented easements where they have true authority. So it just has to be worked out.
Yeah.
It's the engineer we're using is the one.
Maybe
that
this
decides.
is the time to get it worked out and wrote in stone to where it's known. And it's not they always out-trumped us, the city. Who cleans these storm drains, you know? Well,
I can tell you, we've owned all of them so far. The one on the corner of the square, the one, you know, all of those.
When they've done that new deal through there, the state done all that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
we was cleaning theirs, and then I went to a meeting, and they told us, you know, don't be doing that no more. Don't work on our property. So I had to quit that, and I got flack for that, you know, why aren't you cleaning those storm drains? They don't belong to us. You know. So we got out-trumped by the state there. And in big situations like this, I hate to see the city residents and the county and everything have to float this boat all alone. I feel like that the state ought to kind of help it out, because part of what's going to be done is going to be on them.
Beneficial.
And beneficial to them.
Well, I think so too, but I think mostly what we're going to hope for is cooperation.
Yeah.
And we'll be lucky if we get that, but I believe we will.
Cooperation and documentation.
Yeah.
Word of mouth will get you.
I believe we'll get it. But if we don't, then we'll make some changes.
The city hall, the gazebo currently has no ADA access No wheelchair access to the gazebo currently?
Just barely.
Yeah?
Just
Put a
barely.
wheelchair in there.
Okay.
We went over there and put a piece of asphalt down, which really isn't 5 feet wide. And I've forgotten, it was for someone specifically, we had some event there. That's all there is. And it's over toward your place
Okay.
in the east side.
You were also talking in the last meeting about opening that entry into the gazebo so that it was 5 feet? Is
It's
it
just 4 feet
now?
wide. And it looked
opening
like,
that up so that
it
part
looked
of
like we
this would
could,
give better access to the gazebo.
well, it seemed funny to have a 5-foot sidewalk and 4-foot entry. So that's not gonna be, that won't be very close. You gotta turn that phone off.
It's an emergency.
Oh, I couldn't resist.
Yours went off
You were
first.
losing. Huh?
Yours went off first.
No, not mine.
At the beginning, wasn't your phone going off?
No, it wasn't. I turned mine off.
Oh, that was what I heard.
That's a good try on that.
I must have heard you, and I'm like, on his phone, you must have been turning it off.
Any other questions? Maybe you can answer? Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm glad we reached an agreement, a compromise, and we each gave up something, so, and most of us were Republicans, so that's kind of unusual. Anyway, thank you very much for coming.